Hello, Prealgebra students. This is lesson 54. Our objective is, what are some relationships that angles have? So we're just going to be talking about different ways that angles relate to each other and some special associations or things of congruent. I guess I should mention congruent is a word that we use when we're talking about objects like angles to say that they're the same in measure. So it's kind of similar to the idea of saying equal, like this one's equal to that one, but we use it when we're talking about objects like angles or shapes versus ideas of numbers. So think about if two lines intersect, 4 angles are formed. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the ones opposite each other, we sometimes call opposite angles, but really what we call them are vertical angles. So we'll be calling them vertical angles, but kind of just think of them as opposite each other, because like 2 and 4 are not vertical from each other, they're horizontal from each other, but we still call them vertical angles because I guess if you spun this screen 90 degrees and it'd still be vertical. But those vertical angles are congruent. So the measure of angle 2 is the same as measure of angle 4, the measure of angle 1 is the same as measure of angle 3. Now there's another kind of angle relation here with lines that intersect, or we call adjacent angles. And adjacent kind of just means next to each other. So they share a vertex and a side, but don't overlap. So 1 and 2 are next to each other, so we call those adjacent. They share this vertex right here, and they share this side right here, but they don't overlap. 2 and 3 similarly are next to each other. They share that vertex and they share this side. 1 and 3 are not adjacent. Those are what we call vertical. Because they share a vertex, they don't overlap, but they don't share a side. So over here, these are some examples of ones that are not adjacent. This angle 1 and this angle 2, notice they share this side right here. They don't overlap, but they have different vertex. Here's one vertex, here's another vertex. Same idea here, this one has the same vertex, they don't overlap, but these two don't share a side. And this one here share a vertex and this side, however they overlap. See how this angle 2 is inside angle 1, so again, not adjacent. Alright, when two angles add up to 90 degrees, we say that they are complementary angles, or one's the complement of the other. When two angles add up to 180, we call them supplementary angles, or one's the supplement of the other. Kind of a way to remember that is that complement starts with a C, and you can change a C into a 90 by adding a line and a 0. And supplement starts with an S, and you can change that S into a 180 by adding a couple lines and a 0. So that helps you remember which one's 180, which one's 90. Feel free to use that. Also, something we should take note of is that when two lines intersect, kind of like we had on that earlier page, and I drew a picture of it here, if they are adjacent angles, if they're right next to each other, then they are supplementary, which means that they would add up to 180. So this angle plus this angle would equal 180. Likewise, this one plus this one would equal 180. Alright. Another sets of pairs of angles, are whenever we have two lines, and particularly we're going to be talking about ones that are parallel, and that's what those little arrows right there mean, that this line is parallel to this line. If you don't think it is, my drawing is very exact, just use your imagination. We'll be stretching that anyways. And so we have a set of parallel lines, and then they are cut by a transversal, which means simply just another line that passes through both of them. And that forms 8 angles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now notice here I have labeled this blue area between the two lines, or what we call interior angles, or is the interior right between those two lines. And then out here in the red zone, outside these lines, is what we call the exterior. So angles 1, 2, 7, and 8 are exterior angles. 3, 4, 5, and 6 are interior angles. So, talking about these two, alternate interior angles are on different sides and they're not adjacent. So 3 and 6 are alternates, they're on different sides of that transversal. They're not adjacent and they're both interior. So 3 and 6 are alternate interior, and so is 4 and 5. Likewise, alternate exterior angles would be 1 and 8 and 2 and 7. Okay? And also, when these lines are parallel, alternate interior and alternate exterior are congruent, which means they have the same measure. The last one here, we're going to talk about our corresponding angles, and those are the ones that are just simply in the same position. So notice this one is above my parallel line and on the left of the transversal, and so is 5. 5 is above this parallel line and to the left of the transversal. So 1 and 5 are what we call corresponding angles. 2 and 6 are corresponding, 3 and 7, 4 and 8. Your worksheet is going to be kind of applying these things that we just did. So make sure you pick that up, and good luck.